You are Locked On 49ers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the 49ers squandered away a big win, a game they had in the bag early on as they are shut out in the second half and fall 24-23 to the Arizona Cardinals. The whole day changed for the Niners after Jake Moody went down with an injury to his kicking leg while making a tackle on special teams. And without a field goal kicker, the 49ers' biggest weakness was exposed, and the Cardinals took advantage. Brock was not great today, far from his best start at quarterback for the 49ers, and right now is about the time where you really start to miss Christian McCaffrey if you are a 49ers fan. We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. Thanks also for tuning in on the Locked On 49ers podcast feed. However you're tuning in, we appreciate you making us your first listen following these 49ers games. And make sure to check out the Locked On 49ers Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Brian Peacock does a great job. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidate you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. In the first quarter, the 49ers jumped out to an early lead. By the end of that first quarter, it was 10-7. It was the Cardinals who got on the board first. Kyler Murray right away exposing the 49ers run defense. Man, they were not prepared to hold that outside containment. Kyler Murray on a read option play. I mean, Nick Bosa didn't even think that Kyler Murray could possibly keep that ball. Everybody on the 49ers defense comes crashing down the line, and Kyler just bootlegs it out to the right side, and off he goes, 50 yards for a touchdown on that first drive for the Cardinals. And honestly, I'm shocked that the Cardinals didn't keep going back to the well on this one. Kyler did end up with a huge day on the ground. He did end up with a total of 7 carries for 82 yards, an average of 11.7 yards per carry, and that 50-yard touchdown. But they didn't really give him a ton of designed runs. I thought that would be something the Niners had a really hard time containing, as they showed on this play. The Cardinals seemed to go away from that, which really helped the 49ers, because after that, the 49ers just went on a little bit of a tear offensively. Brock and Ayuk in the first half was a thing. That was one of the best signs from this game, was Brandon Ayuk finally looked like Brandon Ayuk. Running routes, a lot of those routes that he was finding Brock on were timing routes that involve Ayuk running really precise routes on comeback routes, on routes over the middle, on all these different route trees that you saw Ayuk using today. This is what you expect to see from him. This is the guy who you were hoping to see after he signed that massive extension and took a little while to start getting used to things again back in an NFL offense after not having OTAs or any preseason games. So it took Ayuk a little while to get ramped up. He looks fully ramped up at this point. Ayuk, by far the 49ers leading receiver today. He hauled in 8 receptions, 147 yards. He had a long of 53. He had 11 targets. He had a lot of explosive plays today. He did a good job helping keep the chains moving. But ultimately, that connection really petered out in the second half. It just wasn't there for them in the second half to find as many big gains in first downs. And the 49ers, they did kick a field goal in their first possession. They drove down the field after Brock finds Ayuk down for the sideline for a huge gain early on. It was right away. It was obvious that this was happening. 49ers, though, stalled in the red zone again, which has been something that's happened all season long. And this is a legitimate point of concern, I think, now for this 49ers team. You have Jordan Mason, who is a great running back between the tackles. You think that should translate very well to the 49ers scoring red zone touchdowns. I mean, touchdowns, not just points in the red zone, but touchdowns. You need to finish drives, as was evident in this one, because the 49ers and Cardinals, trade a couple more scores, and eventually the 49ers get in a situation where Jake Moody kicks another field goal, and after the blocked field goal, and Dima Lenore took that back for a touchdown. Big Jordan Elliott got up in the middle and swatted that ball away, got a big paw on that. And that felt like, 49ers took a 20-10 lead at that point after that blocked field goal return for a touchdown. The Cardinals had started to drive a little bit at that point, but it was a huge momentum shift for the 49ers. And it really felt like that 2-score lead was just going to balloon and become insurmountable for the Cardinals to make up. Their passing offense looked out of rhythm. Yadam had a great play right before that field goal in one-on-one coverage against Marvin Harrison Jr. to tip a ball away. They were really bottling up Marvin Harrison Jr. today. They did a great job in pass defense against him. Only 2 receptions, 36 yards, no touchdowns for the rookie sensation. Came into today tied for the league lead in touchdown receptions. 49ers blanked him today. I thought that was a great job, but other guys hurt you. Michael Wilson, 5 receptions, 78 yards. They had some explosives all over the field today for the Cardinals, but that Yadam play was really, really solid, led to that blocked field goal in that 49ers 10-point lead. We were, soaring at that point. And then very, very, very next play on special teams, not even play from scrimmage, Jake Moody on the kickoff runs downfield and tries to make the tackle, does actually make the tackle, goes low on the ball carrier, kind of drops down to his knees to make the tackle, and he gets bent back with his kicking leg underneath him and rolls up on that right ankle that knee didn't look like it was feeling pretty good afterwards too, so I'm not sure if it was an ankle or a knee. Either way, though, he sustained an injury to his kicking leg, which you can assume it's never going to be a good thing for a 49ers kicker or for any kicker, a soccer player, even whoever. The lower leg injury, really not good for anybody, but especially your kicker. And now the 49ers have to go to Mitch Wishnowsky as their emergency kicker, or as Tom Brady was saying on the broadcast, Wojnowski, or whatever the hell he was saying. I'm still not sure how I feel about Tommy on the broadcast. It was interesting hearing his breakdowns of Brock Purdy, though. I did like that, and seeing what he liked about Brock, what he didn't like about Brock. We can maybe get into that later on if we have time. My one critique of Brady, I really hate how every single time the ball is in the air going down the field, you hear him go, "Oh!" It's like, man, just let the play develop, because half the time he's saying that and the ball sails like 13 feet over the receiver's head out of bounds, completely uncatchable, and it's just kind of ridiculous. So, but he's calling games like he played out on the field. I'm sure every time that ball was in the air like that, he was screaming too, probably out there on the field when he was still in his playing days. Nonetheless, I thought his analysis of Brock today was fairly interesting. So maybe we'll get into that later on. But the 49ers, after that Jake Moody injury, they had a really hard time scoring. They kicked a field goal later on. But you saw the 49ers in a 4th and 23 at one point, like at their own 27-yard line. That's an obvious field goal situation if I've ever seen one. But it was too far out of Wishnowski's range, who is, he's a punter. He's not a field goal kicker by trade. And the 49ers ended up having to go for it constantly in the red zone. Cardinals very smartly played them to that. The Cardinals knew the 49ers weren't going to be kicking field goals, and they adjusted their defense as such, and it really stifled the 49ers in the second half. Zeros across the board for the 49ers. Going into halftime, they had a 23-10 lead after Wishnowski did drill a field goal to end the half. It was a chip shot, so that was fine, but the 49ers were unable to get into the red zone. You had one offensive touchdown in the red zone today. Other than that, it was all, the block kick return for a touchdown and then field goals. And that's not enough. You need to figure out a way that you can score some more points than this. The 49ers coming into today, 20th in the NFL in touchdown percentage, in red zone touchdown percentage. They're tied with the New York Giants. You can't tell me that this team and the New York Giants are equal on offense, even without Christian McCaffrey. You got George Kittle, you got Jordan Mason, you got Big Jawan Jennings, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got Deebo Samuel, you got Brock Purdy. Find a way to score a touchdown. It shouldn't be on Jake Moody to kick you to victory. A kicker injury shouldn't sink you as a team if you are a good team. The 49ers with this loss are now 2-3. We're 5 games into the season. We've seen some slow starts from this team before in the past. That is nothing new. Remember they dropped 3 in a row with Brock at quarterback when it was last season, or it might have been the year before, but early on in the years, they're all running together in my brain. But early on, Shanahan teams have a slow time getting started. It seems like every year they kind of go through a streak where they sputter. And the 49ers so far through first 5 games haven't been able to piece any consecutive wins together. They won against the Jets early on, and now they've won this game. They won last week against the Patriots. Now they've lost this game. So lost back-to-back games against the Vikings and the Rams. And you look at some of these point totals that the 49ers are giving up, 19 to the Jets wasn't terrible, but then you give up 23 to the Vikings, 27 to the Rams, 13 to the Patriots, but that's probably the worst offense in the NFL. And then you give up 24 to the Cardinals. I mean, this defense does not look great right now, man. And they are surrendering a lot of yards on the run, on the ground. Today, Arizona, 6.5 yard per carry average. Kyler Murray had 7 rushes for 83 yards. We already said that, 11.9 yard per carry average. James Conner toted that rock 19 times, 86 yards, 4.5 yard per carry average. And it seemed like every time he touched that ball in the second half, he was falling forward for a first down or damn close to it. I mean, the 49ers really couldn't stop this Cardinals ground attack at all. And given the recent losses of guys like Javon Hargrave, this does concern me. I think that this defense does not look at all similar to what we've seen last year and in the year before. I mean, since D'Amico left, this defense has gotten worse and worse every single year. But this year especially, it seems like the defense is somehow even worse than it was last year. And I mean, I know you're missing Dre Greenlaw and another injury on the defense today. Hufanga goes out with a wrist, man. This guy comes back after blowing out his knee last year for one game, gets an ankle, misses last week, comes back today, and then he's got a wrist. A poor guy, man. I don't think that I'm not ripping Huff. You know what I mean? It's not like he wants to be out there too. He's trying to get out there on the field. He's just getting banged up, man, and that is rough. So the 49ers, I really thought missed a ton of opportunities in this one. Brock, not super great. Let's go over Brock's day, take a quick break here and run through what Brock was doing on the other side. Not his best start as a 49er. Also not pinning this loss on Brock. I'm not saying that. There's a lot of different things that happened in this 49ers game. The offensive line was really not great. There's a lot of things that happened today that could have changed the outcome for the 49ers. The play calling. What happened to the run game, man? We got to get into all of this a little bit later on. Stick with us on the Locked On 49ers postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find the quality professional that's right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within just 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or the resources to hire. LinkedIn's constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. And over 2.5 million small businesses already use LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And today's show is also sponsored by BetterHelp. Halloween lets us have fun with what scares us, but what about those fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts? Maybe they involve Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears and finding a way to overcome them, even if they're, greater than the fears of your favorite football team's opponent this week. But sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our own fears in the first place. It can be, and holding ourselves back is a big issue too. Life can be stressful and we all need a little help sometimes. Nobody can do it alone all the time, just like the 49ers. No one can do it alone out there. You need each other. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast, or Locked On 49ers postcast. Giant season been done, man. It's tough watching those MLB playoffs without those Giants in it. But 49ers, man, this might arguably be tougher this loss to the Cardinals, man, this was bad. This was the whole second half, just a slow doom spiral all the way to this loss. And Brock did not play well, man. 19 of 35. That's not what you want to see completion percentage wise. 244 yards, 7 yards per pass, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. I will note both of the interceptions. One was tipped at the line. The other one, he got hit as he was trying to deliver the ball. The one that's tipped at the line, that's a little bit on Brock. He stepped up in the pocket and just telegraphed that ball. I mean, the defensive lineman was basically right in front of him. All he had to do was stick his hands up. That one's on Brock. That last one, though, Brock's under duress. Maybe he held the ball a little bit too long, and he's hit as he's trying to make a play on the very last drive of the game. He's trying to make something happen. But today, overall, Brock was holding this ball a long time, man. And yeah, he made a couple pretty good scramble plays. He ended up with 33 yards rushing, and he converted on the ground several times for first downs with his legs and extended plays and all that, doing what he normally does. But I don't think that Brock played his best game. He was making a lot of interesting decisions with the ball, trying to force things to happen. I mean, he was not giving up on plays you never want to see a guy give up on a play, but you need to see the guy be smart with the football. And a lot of times in today's game, Brock wasn't super smart with the football, trying to keep things alive when nothing was there. And that really hurt the 49ers. One of the biggest examples of that was that sack that he took to put the 49ers in that 4th and 23 or whatever it was in the red zone. It knocked him completely out of any possibility of scoring. And maybe if he throws that ball away, maybe you're still in Mitch Wishnowski's field goal range. Maybe they were already out of it on that 3rd down, and maybe that's why Brock scrambled and held that ball for so long. But man, this was a bad showing by Brock, who has been really solid this year so far. I mean, one of the top 10 in passing yards. He leads the NFL in yards per attempt for quarterbacks who have started more than one game this season. I mean, he's been really solid. Brock has been super solid, a 68.8 completion percentage, 5 touchdowns to 2 interceptions coming into today. All of that seemed backwards. The accuracy just wasn't there. And credit the Cardinals defense, man. They were flying around, being super physical with these 49ers receivers at the line of scrimmage. They did a good job. Brock did also have a couple really good throws. As we said, he was synced up with Ayuk in that first half. The Cardinals in the second half really stiffened up that defense. But one thing that I think could have helped the 49ers out a lot is they went away from the run game. And I don't know why. You were leading this game, and you come out in the second half and you throw the ball around the yard as much as you aren't giving Jordan Mason the opportunity to show what he can do. And I know that you don't want to run this guy into the ground. I think he's leading the league in damn near every category rushing wise coming into this one, in yards after contact and carries and in rushes of 10 plus yards. Jordan Mason has been amazing for the 49ers, but I get not wanting to run him into the ground. You saw Guerrero get 5 carries in this one. He got some good run back there. I also like what I saw from Guerrero in his small sample size, 4.4 yards per carry. Guy who seems like he always seems how to get some positive yards on every play. But Jordan Mason, man, I need more than 14 carries for my guy. This guy's just a battering ram. 6.4 yards per carry average and 89 yards today. You only gave him the opportunity to pound that potato 14 times, man. I need more Jordan Mason involvement, especially in the second half of this game when you're up multiple scores and you're basically playing keep away with the Cardinals because you know you don't got a field goal kicker and you need to stay on schedule. And this leads me to the biggest thing that I saw today from the 49ers, which was their biggest issue, which is red zone efficiency. We already talked about this earlier. They're 50% on touchdowns this year coming into this one once they get into the red zone. But today you scored once out of 5 trips. I mean, that's horrible. That's straight up horrible for this type of offense with this type of talent. That's inexcusable, absolutely inexcusable. And that's the whole team let down. I mean, the offensive line not getting push in the red zone when they were trying to run the ball. I mean, it felt like every run play that they had inside of 10 yards, went back to the line of scrimmage or negative. I mean, Jordan Mason can't do everything on his own. You have to win at the point of attack. And when you know that the defense knows the run is coming, you got to figure out a way to win. Get lower than the guy across from you. Use that leverage if you're in that offensive line for the 49ers. But this is where you miss Christian McCaffrey. And I mean, the versatility that he gives you out of the backfield as a pass catcher, invaluable in the red zone. Absolutely invaluable. You see the 49ers short passing game isn't really there. I mean, that's kind of like the big thing that the Niners have relied on keeping their offense on schedule is those short little dump offs to running backs, to tight ends. And when you have the running back being such a pass catching threat out of the backfield, it takes away some of that coverage from your slot receivers, from your tight ends. All of that gravity that Christian McCaffrey draws in the red zone frees up Brock to throw these other receivers open when they're down there. Without him, that completely changes the calculus. And the 49ers, you see what happened, man. Like, they are missing Christian McCaffrey big time, specifically in the red zone. I mean, Jordan Mason, amazing running back, and has filled in amazingly, like so well, better than we could have hoped. But he's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not going to be a guy who smoothly runs little Texas routes out of the backfield and catches little slants over the middle. You can't put him in orbit motion. You can't put him out in the slot. You can't, like, you're not running those plays for Jordan Mason. There's no threat to that. So if you're the Cardinals, the 49ers offense becomes more predictable. They show up in a run formation. That's probably a run. They show up all spread out with guys all over the field. That's probably a pass. So it makes your offense predictable. And that has been a massive issue for the 49ers in the red zone this year. And it's going to get worse. I mean, if Jake Moody's out for an extended period of time, we just started having faith in this guy, man. Like, it was last year was an adventure, a roller coaster with this dude all year long. And now we're sitting here begging for Jake Moody to come back and kick field goals. That's insane. Jake Moody shouldn't be one of the top 5 most important players on this team. He just should not be. If you are the San Francisco 49ers, you should be head and shoulders better than the Arizona Cardinals. I know any given Sunday, any team can go out and win. I am well aware. I grew up playing this damn game. The 49ers, though, they're so much better than the Cardinals, and you had this multi-touchdown lead over them at halftime. I mean, you should have won. You absolutely should have won this game. The play calling, the lack of execution, the poor offensive line play, the poor defensive play. I mean, you couldn't. All you really needed was one extra stop on defense in this one, and you win this game. There are so many ways the 49ers could have won this game. All you had to do was punch in one of these field goals, one of these red zone opportunities, one of your 5 red zone opportunities, or I guess 4 that you didn't score on. All you got to do is get one of those 4 opportunities into the end zone. That shouldn't be too much to ask. I mean, you look at red zone conversion rates across the NFL. I mean, 1 for 5 would be, I mean, by far the worst in the NFL. Denver was dead last coming into today with just a 33.3% touchdown rate once they get into the red zone. The 49ers were even worse than that today. Worse than the damn Denver Broncos. That's pathetic. I mean, for an offense that is this talented, virtually no excuse for that. Virtually no excuse. And there's not really one guy to blame. Like, Brock was a little bit off in the red zone. The offensive line was not winning at the point of attack. Jordan Mason fumbled in the red zone to set up that Cardinals game-winning drive. Every single person on this team was culpable in this loss. There's not one person that you can pin this on. I mean, the one person you can't pin it on is Jake Moody. Like, how crazy is that, man? I mean, just absolutely nuts. And the number one concern for me out of this game is what we're talking about right now. The 49ers lack of ability to convert inside the red zone without Christian McCaffrey. You need to figure out a way to do it. You need to figure out a way to make this offense look less predictable, less vanilla, honestly. When's the last time we used that word about the 49ers offense? Vanilla? I haven't thought about using that word to describe them since the Jim Harbaugh years, man, or maybe the Jim Tom Sula years. I mean, Chip Kelly was, say what you want to say about him, but not a very vanilla offense. But nonetheless, like, this offense looked predictable. I never once felt that way under a Kyle Shanahan coached team. This was a bad showing by the 49ers. They need to get back to who they are. They absolutely need to find a way to get back to converting on those short passes, because that is like not even an option for them right now. Those passes over the middle are few and far between. You still got those big explosives, but they're not staying on schedule. They're not sustaining these super, super long methodical drives as much as they used to in past years. And this is a problem. This is a problem. I mean, Fred Warner also didn't really look the same. I mean, injuries are a thing. Like, Fred Warner was still out there today playing, did not look to be at 100% to me. Kyler Murray scrambling all over the place. I think if Fred Warner's at 100%, he's not able to get all of those yards. I still think he would have been effective today, but I think Fred may have contained him a little bit better. This was all around a full, complete team loss for the 49ers. Let's take one more quick break in this one, wrap up this show on the other side, and put a bow on it on this Locked On 49ers postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest live stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and I'm just taking a quick peek at the chat today. Ice Cold Gaming says he's happy people are starting to see the 49ers are not as good without CMC. I don't know about not. I mean, you're going to get worse if you don't have a guy who's could win the MVP at any given year missing from your football team. Obviously, it's a massive loss. You don't just replace a guy like that, but I don't think the 49ers are bad without Christian McCaffrey. Like that would be a massive stretch. They do need to figure out a way to fill those versatile things that he does, though. And you can do that with a lot of other players on this roster. Deebo Samuel, almost non-existent in today's game. I mean, he had a few touches out of the backfield, but in today's passing game, almost non-existent. Get Deebo involved with those short drag routes over the middle, slant routes over the middle. Like those things that you would have Christian McCaffrey line up and do. Deebo can do a lot of that too. I need Deebo Samuel to be far more involved than he was today. Was an afterthought in this 49ers offense, and I think that was a big reason why this offense looked so vanilla and so stagnant. If you have Deebo Samuel in your offense, it should never look vanilla. If you have Kyle Shanahan as your offensive play caller, should never look vanilla. You got Jordan Mason, who's one of the best running backs in the NFL so far this year statistically. Brock Purdy playing great. I mean, Juwan Jennings playing out of his mind the last few weeks. Way too many weapons to look as bad as they did today. And I mean, we got another from Maple Noob saying D-line is trash. Cornerbacks are not as good as the Bay Area media likes to believe. Man, I saw a lot of separation between Charvarius Ward and a lot of different receivers out there today. I mean, Wilson should not be running free 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage. Michael Wilson should not be torching you for 78 yards. That shouldn't happen, especially when it wasn't like Charvarius Ward was not just following around Marvin Harrison Jr. all day. He ended up a lot on Wilson, and he's giving up these big gainers. This guy was all over the field today. Tons of huge plays. Felt like every grab that he made was an explosive play that came at the perfect opportunity for the Cardinals. And Demo Lenore, I saw him just straight up fall down in pass coverage today, like get all tripped up and fall down. This 49ers pass defense has not been great. They've been given, you remember the Vikings game. It gave up that 90-plus yard bomb to Jefferson. Explosives all over the field for this 49ers defense. And we talked a lot about how porous the run defense was today. It set up this pass game, man. 49ers having to play way too many guys up in the box. That's not what they're good at doing. You can't leave all these cornerbacks on an island. They are not good enough to just lock down guys one-on-one, as is evident by Charvarius Ward getting torched by Michael Wilson today. Come on, man. Come on. No disrespect to my guy from out of Stanford. If you guys know anything about Triple E, I also work Stanford radio booths for their football games. So I guess I'm kind of a Stanford guy at this point. I don't know. I'm more a Cal Poly guy. You know what I mean? But regardless, Michael Wilson's no slouch. He's been around the NFL for a few years now, but it's for 2 years now. It's his second year. He had a nice season last year, but this is inexcusable for this 49ers defense to lose the way that it did, to have this Cardinals offense hang 24 on them, for the Niners to go scoreless in the second half of this one and allow 14 consecutive unanswered points. That's what sunk the 49ers today. That is what made this game unwinnable for the 49ers. And so next week, you look to get it right. It's short week. You got the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. And I'll tell you what, that doesn't sound great to me, because the Seahawks look pretty dang good this year so far. They're 3-2. I mean, today they did fall to the New York Giants. They ended up losing that one 29-20. The Seahawks did. They've now lost 2 in a row. I don't know, man. You got to go up there. It's not a very fun place for the 49ers to go up and play. I mean, they don't ever really play very well up there. So we'll see what happens, man. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. Geno Smith's been playing great. I mean, that pass offense looks like it's flying pretty high right now for the Seahawks. Another tough test for the 49ers next week. And I'm not going to say it's a must win, but if you lose next week to the Seahawks, they are one step closer to owning that tiebreaker, and you fall 2 games back this early on. Still got time to make it up. It's not full-blown panic mode yet for the 49ers, but it's starting to sink in, man. I mean, the 49ers, I expect to make the playoffs one way or another. If they don't win the division, they're going to get in as a wild card team. But the road to the Super Bowl becomes much, much, much tougher if you got to go through it as a wild card team. So we'll hope that the 49ers can pull off a win next week, rebound from this loss, and get back to playing 49er football, especially in the red zone and on defense. 2 biggest things they need to work on in practice this week: touchdowns in the red zone, stop in the run, don't give up 20-plus yard pass plays through the air. Sounds easy enough. It's a lot of work that the 49ers got to do. And oh yeah, by the way, go find a new kicker, because you can't be having Mitch Wishnowsky only kicking 20 yards or closer and find ways to win the game when you're only going 1 for 5 in the red zone on touchdown percentages. So that's about all the time that we got for you guys today on the Locked On 49ers postcast. A very tough loss for the 49ers in this one as they fall to the Cardinals 24-23. We didn't even talk about that 2-point conversion, that roughing the passer penalty that gave the Cardinals an opportunity to go for 2 from the 1. And that was a big difference in this one as well. There was just so many opportunities for the 49ers to win this in the second half, and they failed in each and every one. Have another chance next week against the Seahawks. We'll be coming to you live as they take on the Seahawks on Thursday. For Thursday Night Football, we'll come to you live afterwards on the Locked On 49ers postcast. Make sure you tune in, making us your first listen following these 49ers games. And for your second listen, make sure you check out the Locked On 49ers Daily Show with Brian Peacock. He does a phenomenal job. Been listening to Brian's show long before, since I started working here at Locked On. So yeah, a fan and a coworker of Brian Peacock. So make sure you're tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to this one. Tough loss for the 49ers. Bounce back opportunity next week. We'll see you next time. Peace.